All right, we're going to take a quick tour of orchid roots. Here we go. This is a picture I got off the internet showing something a little different than roots we've seen so far. There's something called an exodermis. I will not ask you that when we have orchid root questions in the lab test. Then there's this velamen, sometimes called the outer cortex, as opposed to this region, which is called the inner cortex. What is the velamen? It's soft tissue that has lost its contents. Different ideas about what it's for. Uh, some sources say water absorption, assist in water absorption. Others that assist in attachment to trees and things because a lot of orchids are attached to other plants, and also protection of what's inside. So different ideas about what this velamen, what purpose it serves, what its function is. So we got an epidermis, we got velamen, we got exodermis, we got cortex. Now then we have around this region here the familiar what? Endodermis. And although it's not labeled, what is the layer of cells, one cell thick layer just inside the endodermis, the what? The pericycle. And then the term stele, that's kind of a generic term for a central cylinder. But what word do we use? Well, first of all, what kind of tissue is this? The most abundant tissue in plants, it is parenchyma. Parenchyma tissue. And what region of the root would this be? This central parenchyma, it would be the what? The pith. Let's look at the orchid slide. So we have an epidermis out here. There's this soft velamen, and then there's the exodermis. I'm not going to ask you any of those. Let's move on. We have what here? This is what do we call this region? Cortex. Oh yeah, the cortex. What kind of cells are these? What kind of tissue is it? What's the name of the tissue? Parenchyma. Then we come to this region here. What tissue is this? We just looked at it in the last slide. It is what? It is what kind of tissue? Parenchyma. What do we call this region? We call it what? Pith. And so we have cortex out here and pith. Cortex and pith. And again, some people call this velamen the outer cortex, and then this the inner cortex. We'll just work with this part right here and call it the cortex. And so these big cells are big pipes. What kind of tissue are the big guys? They are what? Xylem. Xylem. And in between xylem, we can see patches of what? Little greenish patches of what? Phloem. Let's take a closer look. There we have it. Here we have the what tissue right here? Parenchyma. Yes. What region of the root is this? Out here, it is cortex. Yes. What tissue is this in here? Parenchyma again. Right. What region of the root is this? It is the pith. Okay. Again, these biggest cells are what tissue? Xylem, and we got some smaller xylem cells as well. But in the vicinity of the smaller xylem ones, we have this patch of green, stain cells, patch of green, patch of green, patch of green. What type of tissue is that? Phloem. And here's another look at the same thing, another view of the same thing. And so let's name them off real quick. Type of tissue, parenchyma. Region of the root, cortex. Name of this cell layer right here. It's got some thickenings at places. Endodermis. What is the layer of cells just inside the endodermis? The pericycle. What's that big cell right there? Xylem. What's this little green patch right here? Phloem. What's this? What type of tissue do we have in here? Parenchyma. What's this region of the root? Pith. That is right. That is right. Some of you may be wondering about this thick red stain stuff. That is fibers. It is sclerenchyma. I'm not going to ask you about sclerenchyma until we get to stems. Got any more pictures? Yes, we do. Here we are up close and personal with, here's a big old, what cell over here? The xylem, and in between we have this patch of green stained cells. This is what? This is what? Phloem. All right, ladies and gentlemen, back up to the beginning, back up to the beginning, not that beginning, this beginning. And is this a monocot or dicot? Are orchids monocots or dicots? Based on your observation there, what? Da 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 da. They are, of course, monocots. End of story. All right, bye bye.